It's a wonderful day for a number of reasons. Welcome to Teleforum. The number of reasons are most of today's show, you're really not going to have to listen to me. And we're starting out the best way we could. It is Teleforum, and today is our monthly visit, first one of the new year. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. It's good to see you. We can be seen. Here. This is being live Facebook feeded right now. If you want to watch it on our Facebook page, or you want to watch it on Dale's Facebook page, right?
That's right.
And this is when Dale comes by about once a month, and sometimes Dale, because we're talking about physical therapy, it's Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy after all. Dale will come in and say, all right, I'm going to have you do these things today, and we're going to demonstrate this or that. I'm going to have you do this. No big deal. You know, I was an athlete at one point. Doesn't look it. But Dale came in today, and first words out of your mouth were what? Would you like to share with everyone the first thing you told me after the salutation?
I said, I'm not going to lie, there's going to be a hard test today.
Okay, so it's already set me up tension-wise. If you want to watch me fail at some physical endeavor, Facebook's your friend today. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. What are we doing today?
We're talking about a new year and New Year's resolutions and things you can think about and things you can do to help you out with your New Year's resolutions.
I have New Year's resolutions. Do you make resolutions?
Sometimes I do. I actually did not this year, but I have in the past. Yeah, sometimes it's a thing for me. Sometimes it's not. And there's probably a lot of listeners out there that are like that too.
What makes you not make a resolution? You feel like you stuck to your guns pretty good the year before?
That's part of it. Okay. I did make some resolutions last year that I did well with, and I accomplished them. And it's more of a continue on. It's not a
keep going.
It's a keep going on what I've been doing so far. But I think a lot of people, may not make resolutions because they think they don't have the time for it, or they don't see the value of it, or they feel like they failed it so many times. Like, what's the point of doing it again? Because every time I try it, I don't do well with it.
Set myself up to fail.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that today with how that relates to physical therapy.
A lot of people's resolutions are about getting healthier, whether it's improving or trying to maintain and hold on to stuff. What are we doing?
So we're going to talk.
My resolution is I'm going to follow your instructions and try the best I can.
So what we're going to talk about how it relates to physical therapy is overall we're going to use the word movement and the value of movement, because movement is a strong predictor of your health. So there's strong evidence suggesting that movement is a valuable predictor for your future health as well as your resilience against disease. And we believe as physical therapists at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy that we can help you achieve your goals through the use of movement.
What's the definition of movement? Because that word in my head paints a really broad stroke.
Yeah, so it is a pretty broad term, and we use that term to try to incorporate a lot of different things. So it includes everything from your flexibility, what we call range of motion, includes your strength, includes your balance, includes your coordination. All those things are very high and valuable things for you to have. And these are things that you may have lost over the course of time. That you might have lost it last year because you had an injury, or it just might be from the aging process. You're starting to lose your range of motion or flexibility. You might be losing some strength, coordination, and balance. And we're going to do 3 different tests today.
Okay.
We have easy, moderate, and hard tests today to do.
It's like mild, medium, and hot.
Yep. So we have all 3 tests to do today. So for you that are listening at home, you want to try these tests, or if you're watching on our Facebook Live feed, you can get a visual idea of how these tests work.
Or laugh at me.
And they will help give you indications of how well you're moving. Because they're good tests to show how well you're moving, in a test of your flexibility, your strength, coordination, and balance.
When people come into MRS Physical Therapy, are they coming in to deal with a gradual loss of movement? Is that how it happens, or is it all of a sudden? Can you lose movement substantially without it necessarily being a major injury or something?
You absolutely can, and you do have both. Obviously, if you have a major injury, you realize there's a reason why something happened. But many times we have patients come in, and it's just been an accumulation of the course of time of something that's happened. Maybe postural changes over the course of your life now is giving you neck pain or low back pain. A lot of patients will wake up and they just start having shoulder pain, and that they didn't have an injury or an event, but over the course of time, their shoulder muscles have gotten weak. They've lost lost flexibility, and now it's become a painful event. So these are things that definitely do happen, that there's not necessarily a single event that happens that leads you to having a pain or decreased function. I think when you do these 3 tests today, you'll realize, well, there's nothing that happened to me. There's nothing that, an event that happened. So why am I not walking as fast as I should? Or why is my balance and coordination and flexibility not as good as they should be? So that's what we're going to talk about today with our show.
All right. If you'd like to call with questions, obviously you can do that. 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. If you would like to post your questions in the comments section of the Facebook feed, and that includes mocking me when Dale makes me fail at something. You said the first one's easy though, right?
The first one's easy. We start easy, medium, hard. I won't start you out with a hard one. We'll warm you up a little bit.
Okay, what do I need to do? And I'll call play-by-play for the people that aren't watching.
So before we get to the tests, I want to talk about what we think is really valuable for listeners and to keep yourself with good flexibility, good coordination, good balance throughout the course of your life. Just like you go to your physician for an annual checkup, you go to your doctor, check your heart and lungs, make sure everything's going on a regular basis. You go to your dentist on a regular basis to check your teeth. You go to your eye doctor to check your eyes, because we all know those things change on a yearly basis. You might need a new prescription for your eyeglasses because your eyes have changed. We also recommend that you get an annual physical therapy consultation as well. And what that annual physical therapy consultation is, it does address different things than your doctor, your dentist, and your eye doctor address, because we're looking at your overall flexibility, we're looking at your overall balance and coordination and strength. So we recommend an annual physical therapy checkup, and it's a very simple checkup. We include things like your health history, any diagnosis that you have going on. We look at your flexibility, your strength, coordination, and balance. We talk to you about what goals you have for the year. Is your goal to run a marathon, or is your goal just to get stronger, or be able to walk down the hall, get up and down from the floor, to play with your grandkids? And then we make recommendations based on that. Or maybe you had a recent physical therapy episode a year or 2 ago, and they gave you exercises, and you just need an update to that exercise program. Maybe you've gotten stronger, or maybe you've lost the ability to do some of the exercises. We'll refine that exercise program that we give to all of our patients to update that. So there's a lot of good reasons why a regular physical therapy evaluation or consultation is important for our patients.
And if a patient's never done that before, that sets the baseline for the future, doesn't it?
That's right. Because we know the value of movement, and we know that over the course of time, your movement starts to change, and it usually goes in the pattern that you don't want it to go. It usually decreases. Your range of motion and flexibility usually decreases. Your strength decreases. Your coordination and balance slow down or get a little bit worse over the course of time. So if you've never had any physical therapy before, it's really important to get a PT annual evaluation exam so that we can assess those things for you and give you advisement to have a good, happy, healthy life moving forward.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you, and then let's go ahead and do the easy exercise.
Yeah, so we have 2 offices, one in Bridgewater, that's MRS Physical Therapy in the heart of Bridgewater, right in Stone Point Landing. That number is 724-728-7550. And then we have an office in Cranberry Township, and that's Cranberry Physical Therapy, and that is on Route 19, right next to North Park Lounge. That number is 724-591-8121.
All right, what are we going to do?
So the first test is a walking test. And the value of a walking test is we're measuring what's called gait velocity. It's the speed of how fast you walk. So within normal limits is you should be able to walk 1 meter per second or 3.3 feet per second.
Okay.
So we do a test called the 10-meter walk test. And this is a test we do with a lot of our patients, whether they have gait issues or balance issues. It's a really good test because it's scientifically researched and shows it's a very valid test that shows you the likelihood of you being a fall risk or the likelihood of you ending up in the hospital if you can't walk fast enough. So it's called gait velocity, and it's a test that we measure your ability to walk over a distance. Okay, so what we usually do is we usually use a test called the 10-meter walk test. So the 10-meter walk test means you're walking about 32 feet. Now, we probably don't have 32 feet to walk here, but we'll do like a back and forth kind of test for you to kind of give the people at home that are watching an idea of how it works. But all we're doing is very simply is we're measuring how long it takes you to walk for 10 meters or how long it takes you to walk 32 feet.
It's 10 steps. For a grown adult, it's about 10 steps.
It depends on how far your step length is. But you're trying to get from point A to point B in the quickest amount of time, and you should be able to walk 10 meters in about 10 seconds or less.
Okay.
And if you're able to do that, that's within the normal limits. If it takes longer than that, then there's likely a reason why it's taking longer than that. Maybe you have some balance issues, coordination issues, strength or flexibility issues, but these things are things that we can address at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy. So let's just show the people that are watching at home how simple this test is.
I am going to walk back and forth like being up on the catwalk.
So let's just move the table down towards you a little bit. So we have
Ready?
a little bit
Okay.
of a linear path here.
Yeah. Welcome to the live broadcast of Furniture Moving.
Watching your head, of course. We'll start
this
from
thing
here.
for the people watching. See this? You're not an official member of the staff until it splits the back of your head wide open. For those of you not watching, don't worry about it.
So we're going to start at the black curtain, and all I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you
You're
walk.
gonna have me, okay.
I'm going to have you walk to the door. I'm going to get out of your way here
I'm
because you're
flashing
probably
back.
going to go
I got
really
a guy
fast.
standing by me with a stopwatch.
I'm going to have you go to that
no, I got
door
an
and
angle.
back.
Okay.
So Eddie will leave the. He'll probably
on
leave
the
the view of the
catwalk.
camera for a moment here before you see him return and come back.
Okay.
And I'll say start and.
You're assuming I'm not going to open that door and just walk out.
Yeah.
You ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Go. Okay, turn around and come back.
8.
Okay, and that was 10 seconds. That was perfect.
16 steps.
That was within normal limits. I'm guessing you probably could have gone a little faster if I said go as fast as you can. You probably could have gone a little faster and got under 10 seconds. But that was a pretty casual pace for you.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get your heart rate up too high because you know we have some harder tests coming up
I'm
ahead.
saving
right?
it, yeah.
So if you're watching, all we did is we walked for 32 feet and we timed how long it took him to do that. And you should be able to do that within about 10 to 12 seconds, no problem.
Right.
If it took you longer than that, then that increases your likelihood of being hospitalized or increases your likelihood of having a fall. So that's why it's a very significant test that we do with our patients, and we use it. It gives us a really high value for how our patients are likely to do and things we want to focus on to help them out in their physical therapy program.
What's the biggest problem if you can't do it in the amount of time? I did it okay, but had I taken too long, what's the first thing that you think, okay, we'll start here?
Statistically, it shows you have an increased likelihood of falling.
Okay.
It puts you in the fall risk category. When we do our physical therapy examinations, there's a number of different tests that we do, and you're going to see a couple of those today. But even in addition to the 3 tests that we're going to do today, there's a lot of different tests that we do to look at your flexibility, to look at your strength, to look at your coordination, your balance, and your overall movement, because movement is such an important thing for us to assess in each individual patient to make sure they're going to live a healthy lifestyle.
Dale Reckless is my guest. It's MRS Physical Therapy's Dale Reckless. This is being live Facebook feeded. If you want to watch me you want to do another exercise or?
Do we have time for your break?
Got news coming up. You're in charge. We got time.
Yeah, we got some time.
I'll pretend if we get close on time, I'll just grab my hamstring and then we'll
this
go
next
to break.
one's not hard at all.
This is part of the easy.
It goes into the moderate level of category for most patients, but you'll be fine with it.
Heard that
I've no
tone
concern
before.
with you. Go ahead and just stand right in front of the table. This is a test that we've demonstrated to our listeners before and those watching on Facebook Live, and it's just simply a single leg stance test. And I put this in the moderate level of difficulty because, people that are listening, they're probably walking around somewhat, so they have the ability to walk from point A to point B, no problem. And a good number of patients will pass that test. But this is kind of the next level of challenge for your balance, okay? And it's simply a single leg stance test. And all it is your ability to balance on one foot.
Okay.
So all you're going to do is if you're watching and you're trying this at home, have something you can hold on to, so a chair or something like that. So if you do lose your balance, you can hold on to something and you don't fall. And all you're doing is simply balancing on one foot as long as you can. So let's try your right foot first.
I'm going to fail this.
Okay, go and try it. Yep. Just balance on one foot. Now Eddie's balancing on just his right foot. That was 1 second. Let's try that again. Okay, so Eddie's balancing on his right foot, and I have a timer going, and we're trying to get at least 10 seconds as a minimum. 10 seconds is an absolute minimum you should be able to balance on one foot. And Eddie made it to 12 seconds. Now, a young, healthy individual should be able to do that for about 45 seconds. Not to let you off the hook, okay?
No.
But if you're not able to do that for at least 10 seconds, you're at a significant fall risk. And you should definitely get a hold of us at MRS Physical Therapy or Cranberry Physical Therapy to work on that as soon as possible.
I'm going to ask you a specific personal question. My issue with not being able to balance doesn't feel like it's balance. Both of my ankles have been blown up
Sure.
so many times.
Yeah.
How would you address that?
So when you fail a test, we don't automatically say, oh, it's your balance, okay? Because that's why we do a number of different tests. That's why we look at your flexibility, your overall flexibility. We look at your overall strength, and we include the balance and coordination exercise to tease out if there's a functional component of why you're not able to do something. So you're not able to balance on one foot very long because you have a diagnostic orthopedic injury you've dealt with in the past. So that might lead us to start to, okay, well, maybe we need to look at your flexibility of your ankle. We need to look at your strength of your ankle and see why you're not able to easily balance on that foot for 10 seconds. Okay, and then we'd work on improving your flexibility, improving your ankle strength, in addition to everything else that we're going to work on with your balance to enable you to pass that test without a problem. But if you can't do it, it is indicative of being a fall risk, increasing your likelihood of falling. Functionally, things would be difficult, like going up and down stairs, going up and down curbs when you don't have something to hold on to, especially. Those are the functional situations you'll find out in your community where they'll be challenging for you and difficult for you to do. And that increases your fall risk when you have difficulty to do those functional things in your home environment.
All right, I'm ready. You can do it on the left foot?
Sure.
All right, let's do the left foot.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Go. Okay, so now we're timing Eddie on his left foot to see if his left foot has any more stability than his right. And I'm holding the timer, and we're going here. And we're looking for at least a minimum of 10 seconds, which Eddie feels pretty confident he's got that at this point in time, and he does. He's already beaten his right foot single leg stance. His left foot single leg stance was 18 seconds.
Okay.
So your left foot showed us more stability than your right foot.
The right foot, the right ankle has been blown up more.
Okay, well that makes sense then. So as a physical therapist, we would next go down to looking at your range of motion and flexibility in the ankle, as we've identified that to be an issue why you can't balance on one foot for very long, and work on that flexibility and work on the strength and what we call proprioception. For ankles, proprioception is very important. Proprioception is your awareness of where your body is in space. So I know I have 2 fingers up behind my head or 3 fingers up behind my head without seeing it because my proprioceptors are telling me that I have 3 fingers up. You have those in all of your joints. The ankle joints are very important for that, especially if you've blown them out, if you've had recurrent ankle sprains. We see this a lot in our young athletes. Patients that have recurrent ankle sprains, they're not in any more pain and they have their flexibility back, but they stop their PTs too soon, or they stop their exercise program too soon without working on their proprioception, and then they find themselves right back where they were with recurring ankle sprains because they haven't worked on the proprioception return in their ankles. So that's something we see quite a bit, especially in our young athletes that we work with.
After the news, Dale Reckless is going to heal every part of what's wrong with me. I noticed you hadn't yelled at me about my no support shoes.
Well, I'm going to have you take those off soon.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
That's the payback for going through this. News is next with Curtis Walsh. Dale Reckless, MRS Physical Therapy. We will continue after that on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Holiday blues can take on a whole different meaning once January rolls around. This is Cindy Haladio from Friendly Federal Credit Union. Trust me, I heard a lot of people singing the blues once those high-rate credit card bills from holiday shopping start arriving in the mail. You know, some of them actually sing pretty good, by the way. But I digress. Anyhow, you can sing a more upbeat tune instead of the blues yourself when you refinance those holiday charges at Friendly Federal Credit Union. We've extended our special $3,000 30-month 3% loan offer until the end of this month. Actual rate and terms may vary according to credit worthiness based on credit approval. Start the new year off right. Get rid of what's dragging you down by refinancing today at Friendly Federal Credit Union. Member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union. You got a friend.
Ben Stein is coming to Pittsburgh. Join St. Barnabas Charities as we honor economist, award-winning entertainer, and author Ben Stein at a Founders Day celebration Thursday, April 27th. Tickets on sale now. Proceeds benefit the St. Barnabas Free Care Fund. Buy tickets online at stbarnabascharities.com or call 724-625-3770.
Now entering our 75th year of serving Beaver County. You're listening to 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. Part of the St. Barnabas Radio Network. Beaver County Radio's news source. 95.7 and 99.3 FM. along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMVA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning. We can expect cloudy skies today with a high near 41 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. Beaver County District Attorney David Lozier reports that Alec Minyard has been arrested, charged, and arraigned for manslaughter and involuntary manslaughter in the death of 31-year-old Vincent Saccone. The shooting occurred at a home on Mill Street in Aliquippa just after 5 a.m. Friday morning. Minyard is lodged in the Beaver County Jail with a bond set at $500,000, and a hearing in Beaver County Court will take place Monday, January 23rd. A federal lawsuit was filed on Tuesday for the death of Kenneth Vineyard, who died after being pushed to the ground by a police officer while assisting a shooting victim in the Monaco Walmart parking lot back in November. Attorney Joel Sansone says Officer John Hawk used unconstitutional excessive force and blames the township for failure to train Hawk properly. Hawk has not been charged, and the autopsy for Vineyard is yet to be complete. The Pennsylvania Attorney General's office has taken over the case since Beaver County District Attorney David Lozier recused himself due to Hawk being an employee of the county SWAT team. Sansone spoke to Beaver County Radio this morning on Live Mike with Mike Romai to discuss details of the lawsuit. That exclusive story will be available soon at beavercountyradio.com. A tractor-trailer went over a hill along the turnpike yesterday morning in New Swickley. Police have reported that the accident happened in the westbound lane after the truck and a car attempted to avoid a crash and ultimately collided, causing the rig to take a dive off the hill. There were no serious injuries reported. Josh Shapiro has become the 48th governor of Pennsylvania at the inaugural ceremony at the state capitol. The 49-year-old Shapiro took office Tuesday with more experience in state government than any recent predecessors. Chief Justice Deborah Todd administered his oath on a stage erected behind the state's ornate capitol in Harrisburg, with lawmakers, members of Congress, and others looking on. Shapiro succeeds term-limited Democratic Governor Tom Wolf, and this is the first governor of Pennsylvania since 1966 to be elected to succeed a member of his own party. Meanwhile, Democrat Austin Davis was sworn in as Pennsylvania's first black lieutenant governor. Representative Marla Brown of Lawrence County is teaming up with the Newcastle Police Department to help constituents with free replacement of license plates that have become difficult to read. Brown's Hard to Read license plate event will take place on Thursday, January 26th from 9 a.m. to noon at her district office parking lot located at 28 North Mill Street in Newcastle. A member of the Newcastle Police Department will inspect plates and determine the need for replacement. If deemed eligible for replacement, Brown's district office team will be on hand to assist local residents with filling out the appropriate paperwork. Drivers must bring along their unexpired Pennsylvania driver's license and current vehicle registration card. Specialty plates, such as those for veterans, Pennsylvania zoos, college alumni, and etc., cannot be processed at the event. Once submitted to PennDOT, the new replacement plates should arrive in approximately 2 weeks, and there is no fee for the plate replacement or the service. Residents who are unable to make the event can reach out to Brown's Newcastle District Office for assistance at 724-498-4397.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMVA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect cloudy skies today with a high near 41. Showers tonight mainly after 2 a.m. going down to a low of 36. Showers and a possible thunderstorm tomorrow with a high near 56. Rain showers likely Friday, and then a slight chance of a snow shower as well with a high of 38. Mostly cloudy on Saturday with a high near 36, and a chance of rain and snow on Sunday with a high near 40. It's 39 and cloudy here at 9:35 in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
It is all of those things, and it is Teleforum, and it is a day where Dale Reckless is my guest. Dale Reckless, of MRS physical therapy and cranberry physical therapy. And if you missed the first half hour, I passed all the tests with flying colors.
So far, so good.
If you want to watch this, you can, I don't know why you'd want to watch me do this. You can watch Dale giggle under his breath as I'm trying to do it. You can go to Facebook. You can go to the station Facebook page. That's Beaver County Radio. Or you can go to the Cranberry Physical Therapy, MRS Physical Therapy Facebook page. We're demonstrating things today. The first stuff I did, you said that's in the easy category. That was about
The
balance.
walking test, the gait velocity test.
I walked back and forth, and I stood on one foot. All right. Are we to the medium part of what you're going to make me do now?
This is the hard one.
Well, wait, you skipped medium.
The balancing on one foot was the medium.
Oh, let's count that. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So this is a recent test that I found. It's called a sitting and rising test, and it's a pretty hard test to do. I wouldn't recommend everyone to do the test. If you're watching from home, you'll see why in a moment when I have Eddie do it. But it's your ability to go from a standing position down to the floor and back up to stand again.
You're allowed to grunt, right?
Yeah, grunting doesn't take away from your score.
Okay.
But what the test does do, the research of the test shows the likelihood of you living longer than someone else. So if you're able to go from a stand position to the floor and back up without using your hands, you're more likely to live longer than someone that can't do the test. So it's an interesting test from how, the research that did behind it. But what I really like about the test is it kind of incorporates a lot of things at a high level. So some of my patients that seem to be doing pretty well, but if I want to look at their flexibility, their strength, their coordination and balance all in one simple test, this is the test to do.
It's all either being demonstrated or not demonstrated.
It pulls it all together in one thing. But it also incorporates something functional that a lot of my patients talk to me about, and that is getting up and down from the floor. And patients get up and down from the floor for different reasons. One is they may have had a fall, or they're concerned about falling, and what can they do if they fall, how they're going to get back up again. Because everyone hears horror stories about people that fall and they're down there for hours because they can't get themselves back up again.
Those commercials, falling and can't get up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other patients want to be able to get down onto the floor to play with the grandkids. They want to get down on the floor and interact with the grandkids. So that's a goal for them. So maybe that's a goal for you for a New Year's resolution. You want to be able to get down to the floor and back up again. But this is a test that's called the sitting and rising test. And it's a scored, graded test to tell if you're able to do it or not, and you kind of get a comprehensive score after the test is done, and which is a nice objective measure to see as you improve and get better with it. We can kind of update that score and see how you're getting better with the ability to get up and down from the floor.
This involves us getting out of our chairs and going and sitting on the floor, doesn't it?
Yep, you got it. And you can take your shoes off for this test. This test is supposed to be done without shoes on.
It's always shoes with you, man. They always has something going on with you. All right.
All right, so we're just going to go right in that position there.
Seriously, why did the shoes have to be taken off?
The shoes can just get in the way of the test because you're going down. They can slide on you. Like Eddie is not wearing what shoes I would recommend for him to wear on a regular basis.
I told you.
So these kind of shoes can slide off you, and they get in the way of the testing because they're just kind of slip-on shoes that he has on there today.
I think they oversell them or they overprice them by calling them driving shoes.
Driving shoes.
Seriously.
I haven't heard that one before. That's good.
Look, they serve no purpose at all.
Yeah, that's an example of shoes not to ever wear.
Paid a lot of money for this.
So if you have decided to challenge yourself at home with this test, and again, this is a really high-level test. I don't recommend for many people to do it unless you have someone with you or you have something significant to hold on to that's stable, like a stable chair or a stable table, because you might end up having to use that to get back up again. And like I said before, this is a test that a lot of my patients will have difficulty with because just getting down to the floor itself and getting back up is one of the goals they've set to achieve for themselves this year. But it is a test, as Eddie will see in a moment. It really looks at your flexibility, your strength, your coordination, and your balance. So what the test is you simply go from a standing position and you're going to go down to the floor with using as least amount of support as needed. So if you don't have to use your hands, don't use your hands, because every time you use your hands, it takes a point away from your overall score. Okay? If you go down onto your knee to the floor, that takes a point away from your score. So the ideal way to do it is to go from a cross-legged position and be able to sit straight down onto the floor. So
like
if
one
you
of those
feel
toys you press at the bottom and they collapse.
If you feel like you can try that, by all means do it. But if you feel like you need to hold on to something, then do that too.
I don't. So just like that?
Yep. And get out of the floor.
Oh, no way. Not without a knee. How about that?
Okay, and then go all the way down to sitting position. Okay, so the goal is just getting down to a sitting position first. So Eddie the overall best score is a 10 out of 10. Going down is 5 points and getting back up is 5 points. Okay, so he lost 1 point for having to use a knee to go down, which is okay. Most people need to use some extremity to get back down. But some of my higher level athletes or younger kids will be able to do that, pop down and back up again, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have 60-year-old knees.
Yeah, actually, I have one of my PTAs. This is one thing that she loves to be able to do is go back down to the floor and back up again. She just had her second baby, and her goal was to be able to do that throughout the whole extent of her pregnancy, is get down to the floor and back up again without holding on. But go ahead now, try to get back up into a standing position. Again,
Yeah.
crossing your legs and coming back straight up is what some of the younger kids are able to do. But see if you're able to.
See, the center of gravity feels so much on the back.
Yeah, you'd have to lean forward to get your weight forward, and you might have to use a hand or use a leg to get up, and that's okay in our situation. Yep, but come back up to a standing position now.
That's how. Yeah, that's the best.
Yep.
Roll up on one side.
So that was actually a good score. So you scored an 8 out of 10. So far, you've passed 3 out of 3 tests, Eddie. You're doing pretty good.
This ain't like college.
So the reason why he got an 8 out of 10 is because he had to use one extremity to get down and one extremity to get back up. So he lost a point for each one of those. So the best score you can get is a 10. That was an 8.
Okay.
Okay. So if you are trying this test at home, the test, the validity and the research that they did behind the test was simply they did this to like 1,000 people, and people that could get up and down from the floor using just one extremity, they were less likely to die than someone that couldn't do it at all. So it was a test that they just measured mortality rate over the course of time, because more people that couldn't do it died than people that could do it.
So the fact that I got back up, but I lost a couple points, I'm not going to die, but I'm just going to fade.
You're going to die eventually. We're all going to die
like,
eventually.
sure.
But it might be more of a fade than just walking out today and passing out.
Falling over.
But what I do like about this test, more than, I'm not really into discussing someone's mortality, whether they're going to make it or not in the next year, is that it really shows a lot about someone's flexibility in the hips, the knees, the ankles. It shows someone's strength in the hips, knees, and ankles. It shows your balance, and it shows coordination for you to be able to get back down and back up again. And functionally, it's really important for a lot of our patients that want to be able to get down to the floor. Some people have goals to be able to clean their floors. Like I said, some people have goals to be able to get down and play with their grandkids. Some people are just concerned if they fall, how would they get back up again? Wow. And these things are things that we can help you out with our program at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy.
What kind of exercises? You just saw me. I got, what did you say, an 8? I come to you at MRS and I say, I don't want to get an 8. I want to get a 10. What are some of the things that you're going to have me start doing?
So there's flexibility issues in the hips. You need to be able to have a good amount of rotation in your hips to be able to get down and back up again. Okay. You need a lot of strength in your hips, a lot of strength in your knees to get down and back up again. Okay. And some people will get up, but then they'll stumble a little bit. Okay. That's balance and coordination. If you have the strength, but you might not have the balance and coordination to do that test, might be proprioception. But all those things we're going to take into account when I see what your abilities are to get down and back up from the floor again. But for you, I'd be working on hip rotation. I'd be working on hip strength and knee strength in the exercises to enable you to get back down. If you want to score that perfect 10, if you're an over the bar kind of guy.
I mean, it's a general mobility thing. Nobody wants to think, all right, if I happen to roll off the couch while I'm asleep, how long is it going to take me to get back up? It's just a sign of aging that if you can dodge it by working on it, you're going to dodge it by working on it. Can I put my shoes back on?
You can put your shoes back on, and we can sit back behind the desk again here.
You had to smell that too. I appreciate you not saying anything. Take your shoes off.
Because of these 3 tests that we do with our patients, and we do these with a lot of our patients, and if you've tried these at home, we do recommend an annual physical therapy evaluation, and it is covered by your insurance. And something else I'm going to do for the listeners today, if you're interested in a free consultation, we'll do free 15-minute consultations for people. All you need to do is call into one of our offices and talk to Amy. Amy's waiting on the phone for your call. If you want one of our 10 free consultations that we're going to do, it's just a 15-minute consultation. You can either do that in person or you can do it on the phone, and it'll be with me. And what we'll do is we'll review what your goals are for this year. We'll review what things are getting in the way of you meeting your goals for this year, and how we as in physical therapy and how you at home can help yourself to reach your goals this year.
As a society, are we getting better at recognizing preventative? Or are we still, I don't need to see anybody, oh, I'm hurt, now I do?
Well, recognizing the preventative, we do recognize the value and the importance of doing things like having an annual physical therapy evaluation is a preventative measure, just like going to your doctor is a preventative measure, because your doctor is going to find something before it becomes a problem. We as physical therapists, we're going to do the same thing with your annual physical therapy appointment. We're going to find things before they become a problem. We're going to find issues with your flexibility, your strength, your balance and coordination before it becomes a falling issue for you. So we're really good at identifying preventative measures, but it's up to you listening at home to do something about that and take that next step so that we can help you out in preventing the things that could become problematic with your year. That's why we're going to offer these 10 free consultations to people. All we need is your name and phone number. There won't be any insurance involved at all if you just want the 15-minute consultation. Just give Amy a call. She's waiting for your call at 724-728-7550, or you can call the Cranberry office at 724-591-8121. She's answering at both offices today. Or if you want the full-fledged, 1-hour physical therapy annual consultation, we can do that for you as well, and that should be covered by your insurance. Most insurances, you don't need to see the doctor first. You can come directly in to see us just like you would your primary care doctor. So you can call and make an appointment if you want the annual physical therapy evaluation, which will be a much more comprehensive evaluation to include not just the initial history taking, diagnostic information, goal setting, but also we'll be doing some of the tests that we did today, plus a lot of additional tests that will help us to fine point what issues you might be having with your flexibility, your strength, your balance, your coordination, your walking. It's a really comprehensive evaluation that we do for our patients.
Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy with me the first hour of Teleforum. Speak a little bit about preventative, because I know you've mentioned this more than once. If there is a problem and somebody goes into treatment or goes into the hospital, statistically, it can get grim. You were talking about numbers and statistics and what this means and that means. If somebody falls and gets hurt, it's entirely possible they'll never get back into their home.
That's right, and that happens a lot with our patients that are fall risks, and that's why we do a lot with our patients that are fall risks. So if you're at home and you realize that yourself or your spouse doesn't seem as stable on their feet,
hold the wall as you're walking down the hallway, things like that. So
you're furniture cruising, you're holding onto furniture, you're holding onto the wall. You might be drifting to one side as you walk. These are things that are indicative of balance. Your balance is decreasing, and you need to do something about it before it becomes a fall risk issue. So that's what our program is geared towards, is helping to identify what the issue is, why these things are happening, and how we can correct it with our physical therapy program.
And I remember more than once you brought in statistics. If this happens, you go here. Your life absolutely changes. It's a perfect example of an ounce of preventative is worth a pound of cure. Isn't that the old saying?
That's right. We know that we've identified that people that are at fall risk, they have an increased likelihood if they fall, they're going to break something. And if you break something, you're going to end up in the hospital to repair that break. Many times those patients don't get back home again. They end up in a skilled nursing facility, and that's the last place they see before they end up dying. So we take the fall risk situation very seriously. We want to get people out of that fall risk category. There's a lot of tests that we can do at MRS Physical Therapy. Number one, to identify if you're at fall risk. Maybe you think you are, but you're not sure. So we can help you identify that first, but even more importantly, we can give you exercises to get you out of that fall risk category. So we can give you advisement on exercises to do at home, as well as things that will guide you to in our physical therapy program at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy.
Talk a little bit about and I don't remember the fancy word for it, I remember it helps people that have had vertigo for 30 years no longer have vertigo, because vertigo is an absolute fall risk. And you've spoken of patients that the vertigo was so bad that it was a little bit unnerving for them to think, I'm going to walk across the room.
Yeah, so vertigo is a really serious diagnosis, but the great thing about it is something that's very treatable if you come to see us to get it treated. And the reason I say that is many people don't realize that vertigo can be treated easily. They'll take a medication or a drug to help calm the effects of the vertigo, but that doesn't fix the vertigo. It just kind of makes you more drowsy, and it doesn't correct the problem. And we've talked about that with some of the guest speakers we've had in before with Dr. Interval and Dr. Stalteri, local ENT doctors. The high value of getting physical therapy treatment for your vertigo. And what vertigo is, if you don't know, it's a position, when you have position changes, usually rolling in bed or getting up out of bed, and you have the room spinning sensation, that is a diagnostic component of having vertigo. There could be other balance issues in your vestibular system that aren't necessarily vertigo, but it also includes things within the vestibular system that kind of make you walk sideways or make you feel off balance when you're walking. That's a little bit different than vertigo, but it's still treating the vestibular system, and we treat that as well. So if you're listening at home and you realize that you've had this diagnosis or you have these symptoms, you are a fall risk because of that, because when you get up, if you get up too fast and the room feels like it's spinning and you try to get to the bathroom and you fall, that's happened before to some of my patients. You end up hitting your head off of something, you can get concussed. There's a lot of different things, bad things that can happen when you have vertigo if you don't take care of it and get it treated. And the great thing about our treatment with vertigo is usually we can correct it in 1 or 2 sessions.
That has to blow people's minds. If I had something and I fought it for 30 years and I come see you twice and it's fixed, that has to have people just dancing out of there.
There's a lot of happiness and a lot of regret at the same time. They didn't come to see me sooner, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that we can treat pretty quickly. Most of our patients are treated and it's corrected within 1 or 2 visits. Some patients it takes a little bit longer, but for the most part we can treat that successfully in 1 or 2 visits and get rid of that vertigo so it doesn't return again for you.
What did you want to talk about today that we didn't talk about? You got any? This is a weird feeling. I did well enough in the test that you gave me. I feel like I'd take one more to maybe another test. So I don't get that feeling much. So what did you not get to that we
It's good to feel successful, though, isn't it?
You feel
you
good about yourself.
High.
Yeah. As I say that, I'm strangling myself with my own microphone cord by accident. But what did we not get to?
Just to review
should've?
again, the value of getting an annual physical therapy assessment. We do these at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy. And we're also doing 10 free consultations to those that call in today. And you can call us at 724-728-7550 or 724-591-8121. Amy's waiting for your calls to schedule your consultation. And the consultation is very simple. It just takes 15 to 20 minutes. It'll be on the phone with me or in person with me. It's up to you to decide what you want to do in person or on the phone. We can make it really easy for you. And that will not, there will be no cost to you. It's free. Or if you want to get the full comprehensive evaluation that will be covered under your insurance. Your insurance does cover this. You don't need to see the doctor first. You can come directly to see us. You can call Amy and ask her for the 1-hour physical therapy evaluation. We can do that for you as well. But I really feel it's important for people to do that on a regular basis. Even my patients that have a diagnosis that's not going to go away. So, for example, we do a lot with people with Parkinson's, and multiple sclerosis, and neurological diagnosis. There is no cure for those diagnoses, but those patients should come to see me at least once a year to get an update on the progression of the disease and things we can do to keep their exercise program updated as well. So, someone with Parkinson's, that diagnosis is it's not curable. But they usually get treated with medications and with exercise. And the exercises are very important for the patients to do. And sometimes, we get started on an exercise program, but then it starts to fade away where you don't do it as frequently as you should, or maybe you forgot to do some of the exercises. And kind of coming in and getting a refresher course, get a little bit of a reboot, come in and we'll refresh your exercise program for you. And that could be really for any diagnosis. I have some patients that had shoulder issues that they still do their exercise program, that they come back in a year later just to get an update, get a reboot, a refresh on those exercises. It's just a good idea on a regular basis, and we call it an annual physical therapy examination, just to come in and get a reboot and update on your exercises, make sure we're rechecking your flexibility, your strength, your balance and coordination, to make sure things have not gotten worse over the course of your year that you had previous to that. So we just highly recommend a regular annual physical therapy evaluation to help out those areas.
Do you do self-evaluations? Do you put yourself through those tests? You said you found this test, talking about the last one you had me do. When you find something that's interesting, do you do that yourself to figure out, is this giving me the information I want?
Absolutely. I mean, I want to live forever just like everybody else, right? So some of these tests that show an increase in mortality rate and things like that, they're very valid tests to do for everybody. You want to look at your gait speed, your flexibility. I do regular flexibility exercises twice a day myself because I have, historically I've had low back issues because of my occupation. So I have to do preventative things by doing regular exercises and stretching exercises to keep ahead of that. Those are preventative things that I do twice a day because I know if I don't do them, then I'm going to end up back with low back pain again. So I have good knowledge of these things, so it's advantageous for me. But my goal is to share that knowledge with everybody that I can to get them in the same preventative programs that I'm in myself, so that they're not experiencing low back issues or knee or hip issues or balance and issues and things like that.
And how much quicker is a patient willing to go, okay, I'll do that. You do that? Okay, I'll do that.
Well, I think you got to live how you act. So. For example, the orthotics that I recommend for my patients with, foot issues, I wear the same orthotics that I recommend to my patients.
I don't even know what the brand is that you gave me. I endorse them. They're delightful.
Yeah.
Obviously
the Power Step
not
orthotics
today's
are great.
shoes.
And
Yeah.
I wear the same orthotics that I recommend to everybody else. I do the same low back exercises that I give to everybody else because I know they're effective because I've experienced them. I know they help me, and I believe they're going to help you as well. So, consider what we talked about today. Either call us for the free consultation or call us to come in for the PT annual examination. And you can get a hold of us at MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater at 724-728-7550 or at Cranberry Physical Therapy in Cranberry. That's on Route 19 right next to North Park Lounge at 724-591-8121.
And today will be posted on your Facebook page, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for the people that couldn't watch this, if you want to go home later and watch Dale put me through the paces, I got an 8 out of a 10.
8 out of 10.
All right, we're going to stop right there.
It's passing.
That's all I ever. when you show up and check the grades and you go down, you find your name. Did it pass?
Yep.
We're going to go with that. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. It's always great, especially when I pass the test. Teleforum, Beaver County Radio.
Now entering our 75th year of serving Beaver County. You're listening to 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. Part of the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
Ben Stein is coming to Pittsburgh. Join St. Barnabas Charities as we honor economist, award-winning entertainer, and author Ben Stein at a Founders Day celebration Thursday, April 27th. Tickets on sale now. Proceeds benefit the St. Barnabas Free Care Fund. Buy tickets online at stbarnabascharities.com or call 724-625-3770.
You don't have to have had an accident, suffered a sports injury, or undergone surgery to take advantage of the benefits of physical therapy from Dale Reckless at MRS Physical Therapy. At a recent live broadcast at MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater, Dale Reckless talked about treatment for the common foot pain condition, plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis is a pretty common thing, and I tell my patients, don't wait to come and get some treatment for it. The longer you wait, the more chronic it becomes. We'll still fix it, but it'll just take longer. If you come to see me when you're first getting the symptoms, then I can take care of it a lot quicker. What I do with plantar fasciitis is we give some stretches to do. I do a lot of hands-on exercise, and then I also do an evaluation of how they walk and how they stand. They need the hands-on work that I do to help cure the plantar fasciitis.
If you need physical therapy for any reason, choose the place that your friends and neighbors do. MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater and Cranberry Physical Therapy in Cranberry. Visit mrsphysicaltherapy.com.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com.